Happy Sunday, people. So yeah, the rain came and we certainly have had a lot of it indeed. The ground's nicely saturated, so that's very good. Not quite so warm, so that'll be a welcome relief to many people out there. So yeah, times have changed. You know, when the weather changes, you sort of sometimes contemplate things and think about other things that you want to do. And I find that when it's very warm, it almost to a degree, the fire is there. It puts the fire in my belly, so to speak, so that I continue to just keep driving and driving and driving what I'm doing without looking around too much. I don't know if many other people viewing this out there are like that. Some people, I know, it completely it tires them out. But with this cooler temperature and a bit of contemplation, had a few ciders last night, not that many. I'm not a big drinker, but I had a few, and that's probably why I may look a little bit rough. But so yeah, thinking about things to do and ways to go forward with the grow your own experience I'm currently, or have been, you know, undertaking, so to speak, for a very, very relatively long time now. So, sea buckthorn sounds intriguing. It's meant to be a shrub with berries, which taste apparently like 90s fizzy sweets or something, so that's what I've been told. So it sounds interesting. Good nutritional benefits, and it's a hardy shrub, which, if I'm not, please correct me if I'm wrong, it grows in sea areas, but whatever. But yeah, so might even order one of those. So all these things to think of. I want to get next year. Obviously, I can't put too many things in of that ilk now. I want to get more into the tropical growing again, because I let it lapse to a degree this year. Of course, I purchased the mango tree and you know, the blood orange tree down here, which you probably can't see at the moment. But I want to build on the exotic fruit that I'm currently growing, and I want to sort of purchase more plants. So I'm thinking of maybe soon or next year getting myself a banana tree, maybe a lychee tree, all these different ideas that I'm floating about. So if any of you out there have got any ideas, post them below. I won't promise that I'm going to go out and you know, buy the tree immediately, but I just need some ideas. So of course, a lot of my, you know, this is the only polytunnel at the moment that I've got to grow in. Of course, it's, as you can see, the space is rather, you know, taken up. But certain things I'm considering when it's dormant, moving this Stella cherry out of here and putting it somewhere else. The peach tree has to stay in here really because of the peach leaf curl. I'm not going to go into that too much. The mango tree here, that's perfectly fine in here at the moment, but when it gets cold, it's got to go somewhere where which you still get some light, but it mustn't get cold in there, and they don't like drafts either. So I've got to make sure that that is very well cared for. The orange tree is a bit more hardy than the mango tree, but even so, it still won't tolerate anything, you know, anything near what hardy things like cherry and apple trees will take. So I've got to consider that. The tithonia here is growing like absolute wildfire, and I'm hoping that this is going to continue to grow well into winter. It'd be lovely if I could overwinter it. I imagine it'll be very unlikely that I can overwinter it, because the simple fact is that the cold will get in here. But who knows? It's got a very sturdy, almost a trunk look, if you want to call it that. So all sorts going on here. So regarding the healthy eating and the living healthy diet, so to speak, I'm saying this just as I've you know, had a few ciders yesterday, but we'll forget that for the time being. At least, you know, I'm honest in that regard now. Nobody's perfect, as they say. The healthy eating it's a lot better, actually. It really is coming on. And as I stated in a previous video, I'm trying to eat something that I've grown myself, at least one meal a day. At the moment, it's up to 2 meals a day. So I've still got plenty of kale here. I've got spinach, Swiss chard, loads of it. Marrows and courgettes as well, but they're starting to come to an end. Got some spinach here in there, which you can probably see. There, look. And I set these the other day raw broccoli and spinach, etc. So they're going to be going in sometime soon. Now, what I want to do, probably going to get into this next year, is I'd love to find somehow of getting another polytunnel in situ here, and I've got sort of a shed here as well, and what I want to do is to experiment with a little bit of rooftop growing. So I'm going to be planning that over the winter spell, and I'm thinking of things that I can grow on a rooftop. It's not like a house rooftop, so to speak, although I know it has been done, but it's an extra growing space that I want to use, and I think it'd make an interesting video and concept if people, you know, saw, just stuff being grown on a rooftop. It'd generate a lot of interest, so I think that would be very good. Now down here you can see that I've got the shelves back in here next to another beautiful Tithonia, which in fact got so, well, not so big, but got relatively big, it toppled over, so I tied it up with a bit of this washing line here. You see, so they start off looking like, hang on, they start off looking like that, and then they go to that, and seeds are in there now. So I might even save some seeds. So yeah, got the shelving in here, and what I've done is I've ordered a load of geranium seeds, all different colours indeed. Now what this here is just the shelves that you'd find in this is a small greenhouse. It's got a top to go with it, and it's got the plastic cover as well, so a little bit of insulation for over the winter period. But what I'm going to do is to proceed to grow some different varieties of geranium, because I got very much into growing geraniums. I like the smell, I like the ambience about them, and I love the way that they make, you know, they add such colour, etc. to a garden, to where they are. And I love the flowers as well, and if you keep deheading them, they'll continue to flower. So, and also one thing very good about them, which many of you have found out at the moment, is due to the dry conditions, you know, it had to be, lots of stuff required a lot of watering. Of course geraniums require watering, but at the same time they also they're a bit more, they require a little bit less water than say something like a begonia, or a, hate it when you're in the middle of something and you forget a word, marigolds, that's it. So yeah, plenty of reasons to grow them. So I've ordered them, I've got red ones, white ones, I think some orange ones as well, and some pink ones, so some pretty groovy colours there, and I'm going to grow ideally around 100. And the plan is, so got the shelving here, whilst we've still got plenty of heat. I mean, you know, we should have heat, hopefully, now October, I'd love to even say November, but whilst we've still got the warmth, I want to germinate them and get them a relatively decent size before the winter, which they'll probably get, you know, remain in here with the cover over, and maybe another layer of protection as well, and that way I can protect them, and hopefully they'll continue growing, and they'll have a good start next year, and they'll have made some decent size by next year for the growing season, already be in flower, and so be a decent sized geranium. So that's the direction I'm going in. So big period of change, redesign and thought, and so basically maybe a new polytunnel, a bit more of the tropical sort of influence, so to speak, next year. The melons I'm going to do a lot more of melon growing next year. As you know, I did have a little dabble this year, but I put them in late, and it was an either here nor there thing. I've grown melons, you know, before with success, so you know, I know that I'm quite happy that I've done it before, and I got that bee in my bonnet out of my system, so to speak. But you know, I'd like to do that again. A bit more variety maybe next year of some growing, but yeah, got plenty of stuff to eat still. And another thing I'm thinking of putting in is some runner beans, maybe, or I'll probably set them in November. Now, a few years ago I grew runner beans in pots, a few of them, and I had them up against a south-facing wall, and honestly the plants got enormous, and massive crops as well. So pot culture of runner beans in my container to avoid any connotations, the culture of broad beans in containers went very well indeed. So yeah, that's another thing for November. So lots going on here. So these Lakemont seedless grapes, these are growing really at an enormously quick rate, obviously helped very much by the weather. When we weren't getting the rain, I kept these watered, quite heavily because they're drying out so quick. But it's put out a lot of growth there. So this here, what I will do is I'll put this probably in the ground. I've already found another place for some grapevines. So I want to get a very decent vineyard going down here, because I looked at some of my old YouTube videos. Check out my my grape playlist, but I had a lot of success growing grapes at a previous address, and I missed that because I think about them vines, and some vines were carrying over 100 bunches of grapes some years, so they really did have, and I set these myself, so I want to duplicate that. I'm expecting grapes off the Autumn Royal here next year, simply because it's getting bigger at an enormous rate. So look at the size of that. I mean, massive, isn't it, really, considering it only went in this year, and also the fact it's good because it's growing up the supports of the polytunnel. So I've got to do that up, actually, it's getting loose at the top. Yeah, it's growing up the supports of the polytunnel, so bit of natural support system there. So quite happy with how that's going on. So I hope everybody out there is doing well. Lots of contemplation going on here. I'm finding that the world is changing at an enormously fast rate, and I do my research, as I'm getting a little bit older, I'm finding it easier to listen more and talk less, which I'm finding that quite a good thing, because absorbing information, and what is it they say, we're in the information age, so plenty of info out there, but with information can also come overload, which I'm sure many of you out there, you go to Facebook, you go to, I don't do Twitter, but you go to Facebook, you go to Twitter, you go to YouTube, you go to Instagram, and before you know it, 20 minutes is gone. Okay, if you've spent it, gaining info on something like how to grow great kale or how to grow great potatoes, no problem there. But if you've, you end up sucked into this thing where you're click, 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 and before you know it, time has dashed by. So time management is very crucial, and it's very crucial in regards to gardening as well. Time management, thinking, contemplation, and direction, because to me there's a lot more to this than just growing food. Of course, that is the ultimate goal, but why people grow food, the reasons that led them to that, and where they intend to go with it, and the impact that they want to have. Just think of it sounds stupid, but just being able to nip out into your own backyard, down your own allotment, on your own windowsill, and pick some good quality, nutritious food, fruit or veg, that you've grown yourself, nurtured yourself, cultivated yourself. Think of the privilege almost that we have to have this, and just how you can impact. I mean, when I have friends round, and I'm generous with my my fruit and veg, I really am, and I'm like, well, if people say they want a bit of kale or they want some spinach, why not? And people are generally impressed by people that grow their own food, because it takes, like any skill to master, or not even master, to get a good grasp of. It takes an understanding, it takes application, effort, patience, and you have to be prepared to make mistakes. But people are coming, I think the importance of home food growing, allotment growing your own, something tells me that it's it's going to be more important than ever. So hope everybody out there is listening to this. You know, I hope you know what I'm saying. So the information is out there, yeah? It's either my channel, someone else's channel, in a book, some old boy you know who can grow the best potatoes you've ever had in your life, or if you're in a country where growing, you know, potatoes or whatever aren't the normal crop, sweet potatoes, you know, some old boy there that can grow, or whoever, that can part that information to you. You know, you can either, admittedly I did it last night, go down the pub and get sloshed, or sit there with a few fags and have a smoke, whatever, or you can think, yeah, I'm gonna have a go at growing my own, and the nutrients and the nature goodness it offers, natural goodness it offers. So enjoy. Hope your Sunday's doing well. Bit of a contemplation video today. We'll speak soon, next time. And we all like a nice pear, don't we?